Welcome to Bali 2020, a Rebuild Bali festival. Our digital program is designed to inspire, excite, and reconnect the Balinese and Indonesian creative community to you from the 29th of October to the 8th of November. Kembali, the Indonesian word for return or comeback, represents our revitalization in the face of global challenges. The festival will unite people in Bali and Indonesia together with an international audience at a time when travel is largely impossible and creating connections is more important than ever. From kimchi to bubble tea, food as soft power has been embraced and celebrated in recent years, using popular dishes to build Indonesia's national brand, which some have called gastrodiplomacy. It is now at the top of the agenda for many foodies and political leaders. So what's the best way to make a dish go global? And what parts of Indonesia's vast culinary culture are most accessible? Today, I'm talking about this subject, and I'm delighted to present two culinary heavyweights. I have Vita Datau and Ade Putri Paramedita. Welcome to our session, and I'm really excited to be talking to you about gastrodiplomacy and just food, Indonesian food. So I'll just introduce you both. Vita Datau is the founder and chair at the Indonesia Gastronomy Network and chair of the acceleration team for the development of culinary and shopping tourism at Indonesia's Ministry of Tourism. She was the former president of the Academy Gastronomy of Indonesia and has been involved in the gastronomy industry in Indonesia, especially with cultural diversity, sustainability, and community development. Welcome, Vita. And Ade Putri Paramedita is the host of Akar Rasa, a web series on Vice Indonesia. Known as a food writer, food stylist, F&B consultant, owner of Kedai Aput, and co-founder of Bir Gembira, she is actively promoting the preservation of Indonesian foods with Aku Cinta Makanan Indonesia. She was the judge of Aqua Reflections Jakarta's Best Eats 2018 and Iron Chef Indonesia. What a great team. So let's start talking about gastrodiplomacy and food. So Ibu Vita, you play a significant role in Indonesian gastrodiplomacy and culinary tourism. When did you first enter the world of Indonesian gastronomy? And what was your first position or job? Where did you start?
Okay, all right. So thank you, Jenna, and hi everyone. I'm glad that I'm here to share all the gastronomy thing about how we are really good on it actually. So I'm starting my career in the gastronomy actually when I'm involved in with the UN WFP, which is this is also related to the food. But yes, we're talking about how we give the food for the hunger people. But by the time we going traveling around Indonesia, then I'm in love with the food culture of Indonesia. That's when I start. Gastronomy is really important for us in that time. So in the 2015, so I'm chairing 2013. In 2013, I'm chairing the gastronomy research for the Academy Gastronomy Indonesia. And also that time we are the member of the Academy International Gastronomy, the headquarters in Paris. So 2014, I attend all the congress, participated in some congress, and also become the speaker. So 2015, I think this is the good timeline. I mean the good milestone for us when we have the dialogue gastronomy national. I believe Ade also there, and so many people there and supporting this initiative. And then that's start my journey, become the technical assistant for the Minister of Tourism as a chair of the acceleration team. in the gastronomy and shopping tourism. And until now, so we keep doing it. Then I also involved in this 2020 as a committee in the Spice Road. This is belong to the Ministry of Education and Culture. So I'm in charge for the communication. So I think this kind of thing is make us stronger in terms of the networking and also positioning. Uh, yeah, I'm glad that I'm here in Indonesia, then also can be involved in so many things in gastronomy.
So the idea of gastrodiplomacy is to use food to pursue diplomatic aims in government to public diplomacy, to increase the value and standing of the nation's brand through food. So this is something you've already started to develop, yeah?
Yes. So currently the government also is already put attention on it. So this year we have a plan to bringing up the Indonesia Spice Up the World campaign. Then I'm glad that I think Ubud Food Festival also having the same tagline.
Yeah.
Is it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Spice Up the World. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, so that's why now we're going to have the massive campaign and having this tagline. What happened because under the coordinator of the Ministry Maritime and Investment, so I believe that it will be good synergy between all minister and also the stakeholder, especially the private sector. So we bring 3 programs for this campaign. First is introduce and promoting Indonesia culinary through the spice, both paste and dry. So the spice itself. And then the second one is rebranding and multiplying Indonesian restaurant overseas. So we're gonna have more restaurant, and also we will have the standardization and also
that's
the same campaign. And the third one, definitely this is important, Janet. We're preparing the destination of the gastronomy through attraction and festival. Also, we have to do the human resources and public facilities improvement in the destination. That's the campaign that we preparing now. Yeah.
Wow, big plan. I'm going to come back to that later because they're really interesting points. But Ade, let's get to Ade. So you describe yourself as a culinary storyteller. So please tell us, when did you first become involved in the Indonesian food scene? And when did this become your career? And what stories are you mainly telling? Is it about the people or the food, the authentic flavors? So tell us your story.
Hi, Janet. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me at Kembali 2020. So I started to write about food. I think it was in 2001 when I worked for this Tracks magazine, a lifestyle magazine, mostly about music and movies. But I asked my editor-in-chief, like, hey, can I write about foods? Of course, at the time, I still write about the experience of going to a restaurant, the food itself, not about the history behind it, not about the culture. It's just, the youngsters wants to know which cafe they have to go. And then in 2005, I became a co-host in a radio show. The title is Food for Fun. It's in a female radio, Jakarta. So of course, I started there. I already got interest in exploring more about Indonesian foods. But since it's a radio, just audio, no visual, everything has to be super light, super fun. You don't really talk about historical foods or those kind of things. And then by 2012, Om William Wongso asked me to join Aku Cinta Makanan Indonesia. It was just built with Mbak Santi Serat. Since that time, my interest in exploring Indonesian foods getting more and more each day. So not just telling the story about foods any longer. I explore more about the ingredients, the process, and then who made it, what's the history behind it, and also the culture. I mean, like, how do people take that food in life? So that's when I got started, 2012. I mean, like, more serious about just Indonesian foods.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to jump back to Ibu Vita. I wanted to touch on the points actually you made just now about the initiative. So is this based on the United Nations World Tourism Organization, or is that the 3 points you mentioned, that's more of a government drive, yeah? The spices and the restaurants.
Yes, actually is more than a government drive. So I think the government seen that we all, including you, Janet, and also Ade, and everybody who really work on the industry, we already have the strong foundation, and then we can collaborate together. And then the government is realized that this is something serious that we have to put attention on it. So the government actually start to see what been doing so far in term. I mean, so many people doing the work, yeah. So they try to start to see. Then finally, the ministry coordinator in maritime and investment start to ask everybody to get together and then let's support to this initiative. Then they ask whether they can use the Indonesian spice of the world. Definitely yes, because it belongs to Indonesia, and the government actually is very strong in terms of resources and facilities. If they jump in, so everybody happy. Yeah.
So
yes.
So I was just thinking, you both traveled. Ade, you travel overseas as well, yeah? I mean, I suppose you talked about this initiative trying to start up more restaurants outside of Indonesia, Indonesian restaurants. I guess in Australia too, and in Melbourne, there's more starting all the time, and they're getting better and better. I guess it's, how do you, I mean, you know, you all know what the food's like within Indonesia, but often by the time you get outside of Indonesia, it's not quite the same, you know. I think there's not enough Indonesian grandmas, you know, overseas. I mean, how do you, both of you, how do you think that we can maintain a standard? Or maybe Vita, will start with you. How do we make sure that the food they're cooking, you feel is up to standard or authentic, should I say? Yeah.
Yes, actually, this is the challenge, Janet. When the people open the restaurant, it's not because of their passion, like me and Ade, probably because we jump into this, this fun activities is because we love it, you know.
Yeah.
So some of them is open the restaurant because of they need to create the job. Yeah, so that's why probably the background of themselves, they're not chef, they don't know how to cook really good food or authentic food. So in the future, so we already put in the metric for the follow-up action that we're going to do some coaching for that restaurant, and then through the spice. So, for example, there is the ready or paste. You know, the spice that we prepare from not from the scratch. It will really balance the authenticity and also the creativity that everybody So definitely we need some coaching. We need the reference. You know, so like we put on the video and also the standard recipe, as well as the menu for the diplomacy. So if everybody talking the same menu, so the impact to the global regional is really high compared with unplanned. So hopefully this campaign gonna be well planned. Yeah.
Okay, so like Ade, with you, I mean, as a food consultant, is that something you feel you can do with international restaurants. I mean, you can see from your Instagram account, you try food all over the place and it looks amazing. I mean, is that something you could help with, even advising people how to make food more authentic, or, you know, betul-betul Indonesian like that?
So I think the problem is actually because we in Indonesia, we don't actually have standard, because every area is quite different. Let's say we talk about gudeg.
Yeah.
Yes, they know gudeg from Jogja, but actually people in Solo, people in Semarang also make their own gudeg, and then they will claim the gudeg as their style, probably slightly less sweeter, and the other probably like even way sweeter. But I think it's okay. So, Ibu Vita, what I remember in 2012, I think when the ministry released the 30 culinary icon, Indonesian culinary icon. Yeah, we have the recipe, like the basic recipe. I think we can start with that if we want to, you know, to present them abroad.
Yeah.
I mean, here in Indonesia, we can make our own, because my rendang and your rendang probably different.
Mine will be not correct.
Yeah, but by sending the ground paste, the bumbu, that sent from Indonesia, like we have all the standard, I think we can make in any restaurants abroad that will have the same basic recipe. It should be easier. What do you think, Ibu Vita?
Yes, and I agree with Om William Wongso and everybody who work on it, that we do the campaign since like 30 years ago, for example. But what is the impact? So if we're using the same method and we never try to influence everybody through the Indonesian bumbu, I don't think we will get the high impact like what Thailand do, because actually Thailand also doing the same thing. They have the standard for the paste, for the basic bumbu, that's what Ade said. And I think Ade also can help in terms of the narrative, because a lot of restaurants, they don't have the good story behind it for the food. So if we have the standard, wow, this is will be fantastic for us to, like, you know, make our food famous all over the world.
It should be like that. Ade, so you joined the Gordon Ramsay episode in Sumatra of Uncharted. I mean, you were the star of the show, let's face it. So what was it like dealing with an international celebrity chef on your sort of home soil as such, who's kind of learning about Indonesian food, and how was that experience for you?
So, wow, I was so lucky. I mean, like, it wasn't about Gordon Ramsay. It was about me can take Sumatra Barat's food to him, to present to him, to present to Nat Geo, to present to the world. I mean, like, we are all so lucky that we had the chance to put the stage and then get the highlight on us. So, yeah, also when I got to know him, and then he was so excited about Sumatra Barat. And then I remember the producer told me, Ade, you don't talk anything about Indonesian food. This is just Sumatra Barat. Why? Because we know Indonesia is so broad. Like, we might come back to Indonesia, to a different area next time. So that what makes me like, oh my God, we are so lucky. I mean, like, next time, please come back here. It doesn't have to be Nat Geo. It doesn't have to be Gordon Ramsay. It can be anyone else, any other famous chef, any other TV stations. It's just like, please come. Because, you know, if you see Sumatra Barat is so beautiful with all the culinary tradition and all the delicious foods, but please trust me, this is not it yet. Indonesia, from Sabang to Merauke, just like so many.
It's true. It's true. So, I mean, I suppose it's hard to tell the impact with COVID, because you would think that a program like that hitting, you know, global TV, you'd think everybody would be going there. I guess that's the unfortunate thing. So I guess for Indonesians, though, I think it was a really proud moment, don't you think?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I mean, like
Yeah.
people all over the world, they send me messages and then just
Yes.
saying thank you, not
Yeah.
like thank you for introducing rendang to the world. Thank you for showing off the bika to the world. I'm from Sumatra
Yes.
Barat, and then
Yeah.
I never had a chance to do that. So it really makes me proud, and I'm so happy, yeah, to get the chance, and especially because all the positive comments, and especially also because they promised to come back.
Yeah. So can you
Yeah.
think of any other international chef that you think should visit Indonesia? Is there anybody you really love that you think would be fantastic to welcome to Indonesia?
Wait, Ibu Janet, you're from the Ubud Food Festival. You know all the famous chefs. Yeah, and you already had them come to the festival. I mean, like,
I haven't had that many. Yeah,
a lot. I
I
mean, like,
suppose.
well,
Yeah,
we still have Jamie Oliver. We still have whoever.
yeah,
Like
yeah, whoever.
all the
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
I think we can just make a program and
yeah.
then
True. Okay.
yes.
Yeah, Ibu Vita, you have to help us with that. Okay.
Yes, yes. Maybe I can share the experience that really this is quite sustained, Janet. When I bring the chef from London, and then actually they learn how to cook Indonesian food. Then that time we campaign for the 5 national food because 30 is maybe too many. That's why we start to have these 5 dishes, which is we can find these 5 national food in every Indonesian restaurant overseas because it's a common food, right? So we bring them to Bali. Yes, they learn how to cook Balinese food, but they also
who is
learn
this?
how to
Sorry,
cook.
so who were they,
You
Ibu?
know, Peter Lloyd. Peter Lloyd is from UK, and then there is another 2 chef, but they own the restaurant. That's the most important thing. Then our aim is like asking them to put our food in their restaurant.
Okay. That's a good idea.
So that's why by the time they come to Bali and they really in love with Bali, they learn how to cook. But 3 of the chef, the one is already put our food. Probably there is kind of like 5 recipe is already in there, but it's not the 5 national food. One of it is ikan pepes. And then the other one they have rempeyek. So they learn this from the rempeyek they learn from Chef Rai from the Nusantara. So they learn with the chef, with the local chef, and then they bring to the restaurant there. So without we open the restaurant, we already have our food in their restaurant. So this is also is a good diplomacy and also the good promotion for us.
Fantastic. So these chefs were from the UK, yeah? Do you have plans to look at chefs like in the United States or in Europe, France? Or...
Yeah, we will propose to the government. Definitely, we have to propose because this is the result we can see. If you're talking about the KPI that the government has to achieve, because we spend the government money, you know. So I think this is something that you can see. So we invite the chef, we teach them the food culture and also the how to cook, and then now they bring our food to their restaurant until now. If you can check to the Instagram, sometimes you know our ikan pepes is there.
Bagus. So, Ada, your experience in Jakarta restaurants. You know, you're doing a project at the moment, with Ray from Nusantara or Nakabor.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's that about?
So they're having a program called Rantang Steak Over Jakarta, and I've been a fan of Lokavor Group, especially Nusantara, because they're exposing traditional Indonesian foods and also not the popular ones to their guests. So when he called me and then asked me, Ade, would you like to give us something to add it to the Rantang? Anything Indonesian food. And then I remember I just got back from Toba Lake. in North Sumatra.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I told Ray, hey, you know what? I think I can make some naniura. Naniura is one of Indonesian ceviche.
Yeah.
So it's actually a raw fish. They normally use the ikan mas from the lake, but this time I changed it to trevally. So it's cooked not with the heat, but with the acidity from asam junga. Asam junga is their, it's like jeruk purut, but from Batak. It's very specific, different than kaffir lime. This one is more fragrant.
Similar. Yeah.
Similar. It looks similar.
Shape. Yeah.
Like maybe calamansi. Is it like calamansi?
No,
it's different.
It's a very
so
rough,
they have
and texture. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So I created that and added some ginger torch, the kecombrang.
Yeah, kecombrang, yeah.
And also I also put another type of sambal. So the sambal is sambal nanas teri andaliman.
Wow. See, because, I mean, it's amazing. I've never heard of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, because I told Ray, I want to invite some media and then introduce to people, because not many people familiar with Batak dishes. Yeah. Unless you are Batak. So I want to make it something like very nice. And then I get lots of positive feedback, especially on those two foods. They're like, oh, this is Batak foods. Oh, so this is the sashimi of Toba. However you call it, as long as you like it, thank you.
Yeah, but that, I mean, don't you think that's a whole thing too? Like the amazing ingredients. I think when I was at the Pasar in Bukit Tinggi, looking at was it at least 18 varieties of lime that I've never seen before. I mean, do you think that's part of the food profile of Indonesia? We have to actually tell people about the ingredients because it's so many.
Yes. It's agree.
It's so many.
Actually, when we present to the Congress as well, we're talking in front of the big Congress, like 2,000, 4,000 people. What we bring up is our biodiversity in terms of the ingredients.
Yes.
So that's why Ade is quite having a good reference because as a food writer also. So we have many, and then I believe that that's our strength. Our strength is in that ingredients. Yeah.
But Ade, I mean, you're a culinary storyteller, and you're talking about writing a book, like fiction. Have you thought about writing a food book? I mean, you've seen so many parts of Indonesia, and I mean, there's stories that go with every single dish in Indonesia and the ingredients. Is that something that you would consider doing? I think Indonesia needs it.
I currently still writing about culinary storyteller, because I want Indonesia to have more culinary storyteller. Yeah, it can't be just me. We have to have a lot.
Yeah. But also like the cookbook situation. I suppose, I mean, I've noticed that in the West, there's a lot of new Indonesian cookbooks being written in English, not by Indonesians who are not even spending a lot of time here. In fact, I was rejected by a publisher. I mean, because I was too late. Somebody else was already doing it. But there is that thing about, we need to get out there more, Indonesians writing cookbooks to a global audience, because you guys know more about it than us even, or me, Yeah.
Yes, I think totally, because the problem maybe the Indonesian cookbook writers, they thought why should I write about the traditional food recipes? Everyone at home can already cook those kind of things. But if they can actually write a cookbook for everyone's abroad in English, just publish it somewhere else, it will be really good, because people abroad, they really want to know what's the the authentic recipe. I've been reading lots of cookbooks wrote by whoever's not Indonesian. They're like, I mean, by just reading it, it can look like rawon, but it's not. It can look like soto, but it's not really. But it's okay because probably if you don't live here, you won't really compare it to the authentic ones. But can you imagine if you can get the cookbooks written by Indonesian that lives here? So,
oh my goodness,
this is the basic recipe, and also with the stories about we normally eat this during, a feast with the family or birthday or,
Yeah, betul. So, Ibu Rita, why do you think gastrodiplomacy has become so important? I mean, around the world, there's a number of countries that are really leading this whole field, and maybe Thailand's one of them. What do you think's the most important aspect of this?
So I think it starts with the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Back to that, when 2014 they do the survey for the 160 countries of the state member, and then 153 it really have the statement which is gastronomy is important. So it's more than 87% saying that. So we start with that first. So that's why the gastronomy UNWTO having the networking on the gastronomy. So the other thing we believe that food is the most effective soft diplomacy tools, because we never fight during dinner or when we face the food, so everybody friends, right? So and the food also is the language for the universal. So it's a universal language, right? So we can call this one is a lemongrass, then in our side we call serai, and then that's the conversation coming. So this is that's what we have to think, that this is important. And what happened with the why gastronomy? Because gastronomy is an ecosystem, like what Ade said. This is from the upstream to the downstream. The upstream, we're talking about the agriculture, we're talking about the community, people who live making a food as a lifestyle, until we bring up this to the restaurant and we're selling as the gastronomy tourism. So this ecosystem is really give us the opportunity to get only the tourists coming to Indonesia, but also will boosting the what do you call it, the economic, especially the local economic. So that's why this is really important.
So I mean, looking at Bali and the whole COVID dilemma, and I mean, Bali has a very strong culinary profile also, and traditional food, etc. Do you think that the food is an important part of Bali's recovery, and how do you think it's going to fit into this whole world organization, like the promotion of its cuisine, the plan that we had? Is that possible?
Yes, for my side, where because I'm working closely with the government as well, the good thing that now I'm working with the Ministry of Coordinator Maritime and Investment to the Indonesian Spice of the World. Also, I'm helping the Ministry of Tourism in terms of building the travel pattern for the culinary, because we need the culinary or gastronomy tour. Then with the Ministry of Education and Culture, I'm involved in the Spice Road. With the Spice Road, this is also part of the Indonesian Spice of the World, So I think Bali, if you're talking about Bali, everybody miss Bali so much.
Yes.
I have to give this example for myself. I've been to Bali for like more than 30 times, maybe last 2019. I'm flying to Bali more than 30 times. So in 1 year. So you know what? This is about the subconscious mind, if you're talking about food. Everything. You cannot listen to the Balinese music, and then you're sitting on your garden, then you can really feel that you are in Bali. But in terms of food, you never can get what the real experience, because the taste we cannot really say that okay, I can see through the movie this and that. No, this is about the feeling that you have to put in your tongue. So that's, I believe that food will become the best what do you call it, pull factor to bring back Bali like before. Yeah.
What about you, Ade, and your Bali food experience? What do you feel about Balinese food, and what's your favorite even?
You know what, Ibu? My Balinese friends, some of them, they called me Ade Lawarwati because I'm so much into lawar, like
That
any kind of
is
lawar.
That is too funny for words. Yeah.
So yeah, I actually I already wrote some articles about different kinds of lawar in Bali and also how they make it. Also the culture. I mean, like, how do you Balinese people eat lawar as in a upacara, also in lunch, dinner, casual. There's always like lawar is everywhere. Lawar, the vegan one or even the one with meat. So what I'm concerned the most when this thing is happening, the COVID, I always ask people like, please guys, can you check out all those warungs for me? Because I'm more concerned about the warungs. I want to go back to Bali and then do more things for the warung hopping from one lawar warung to another. And I think it's not about just the delicious foods. I think if you can tell, looking at the kitchen, looking at how those ibu, ebu, and bapak chopping all the veggies and then, cooking while chatting one to another, this is something that can be the narration. You can tell a story about it. It's not about just feeding people. Bali also has this culture of magibong, eating together, because food is meant to be shared. Food is always like to give no barrier to people, as William always said. So I think we can expose Balinese foods, not just of course, Bali is always beautiful as it is, the culture, but food is also part of the culture itself in Bali. So I think it is the time to give more highlight to the Balinese foods.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, for lawar, you can hang with my son Arjuna, okay? Because he's like he's famous. He goes to all the warungs and tries all the different lawar. But actually, it's interesting. A Balinese man once said to me that lawar is the making of lawar is the most communal activity of all. It's like, because everybody gets together and everybody takes a part in preparing that. A lot of activity, a lot of jovial stuff, chopping, as you said, and then eating it all together. So it's totally fundamental to the Balinese culture. And it's probably one that I don't even know if there's a real recipe for lawar around. I mean, I do it in my cooking class, but it's not really like what we eat at home for ceremonies. I mean, that's another thing. How do you transport things like that to the West? I'm not sure if that's possible, actually. That's a hard one.
Let's just do the basagede. I mean, this is the same when we have the ground spices, introducing basagede as like, you know what, you can take the basagede to your house and then make anything. I also told your son to make the pizza with babi guling. I mean, why not making nasi goreng with the basagede? Because basagede can be for anything.
Anything, Betul. That's true. That's true. So, so what are your other experiences like, or Ibu Vita, like from island to island? What are some of the other experiences you've had with food that you feel that the world should know about?
Actually, as Ade mentioned before, if we compare ourselves with like Thailand, Korea, you know what I mean? So I think Indonesia cannot be compared with those countries. because we have 17,000 islands with all the tastes. We go from the east to the west, you know, you cannot, you really, even not that far, for example, from the west Java to the central Java. You know, central Java is even sweeter than the west Java. So can you imagine the foodscape, the landscape? It's so dynamic, it's so diverse. So that's why if we're talking about regional food, then that's right. Indonesia having the regional food like Bali, for example. It's so unique. I don't think we can find a basa gede or basa genap in other islands, right?
Yes.
So if we're talking about the daging sei is the smoked beef
From Kupang.
So, in Kupang or in Nusa Tenggara Timur, I don't think you can find the same taste like that in Java, for example. Like andaliman is only in the Sumatra Utara. So that's why that's what the world should know. Then I'm not talking about the global yet. We should know. So don't compare ourselves with Thailand, with Korea. They talking the same food all the time, you know. But how we educate the world that you come to Indonesia, I don't think it's enough only 2 weeks because you know we have dari Sabang sampai Merauke that you can find for the spice, for the light spice, you know, you can really come to the different destination. Yeah, that's true, you know. Yeah.
So, and like Ade, with all your travels, I mean, has there been a time when you've tasted food somewhere and just thought, wow, I never knew this existed? Have you been surprised by some of your travels around Indonesia?
Okay, of course, everywhere. I think I've been sharing about how I tried the live sagu worms in Jailolo.
Oh, you did? Oh, God.
I did.
Yeah.
It was, of course, like, oh my God, should I eat this? But let's not go too far. Let's talk about Bali. When I first time introduced to bulung buni, the sea grapes, green caviar. I first know green caviar from a Japanese restaurant, and I thought like, oh, it's so good, but I thought it must be imported somehow. But then I was walking around, and it's in a small warung without a name on it because it's just so small. I asked the Ibu, what are you selling? And then she just said like, oh, the instant noodles. But no, what is that in the bowl? Oh, this is bulung buni. And I'm like, I know that thing. Can I have some? How do you eat it? And then, oh, I make it with kuah pindang, with a fish broth, shrimp paste, chili, mix it together as a like very weird colored broth, and you eat it like that with the shredded coconut. That was my first time, and I had it like, oh my God, this is so good. And then you know how much? For a big bowl of it, 5,000 rupiah. About 30 cents, 35 cents. Can you imagine? Like, and then after I posted it, everyone's like giving comments, and also people in Lasem in Java. Oh, we also have that thing too. We call it lato.
Oh yeah.
This is how interesting. People everywhere, they know probably similar items, but they call it differently. And then I also asked them, how do you eat it like? Then the people in Lasem, they said, we will eat it with the sambal kacang or as urap with the grated coconuts.
Yeah.
So that's why I think if we talk more about food, it can easily connecting people, right? We might not have the same taste of music. We might not eat the same food, but there's always something to connect when it comes to foods.
Yeah. Ibu Vito, like, how many do you have cookbooks in Indonesian that actually have all these different recipes? I mean, as Ade was saying, each region, you know, has all these variations and differences. Are there cookbooks in Indonesian that even record all these different foods?
Actually, yes, there is but this is not talking about the very what do you call it? Like what Ade said, it's really like local food. Then probably it's not become the common food in the family. So mostly our cookbook or the recipe, they're talking about the common food that you can find mostly in the region. Yeah. Some of it, there is a last one that I still really like, this Suryanti Nigani. So she's already passed away, but her recipe is about 5,000 recipe of the Indonesian food in that book. So we can start with that. So probably what Ade said, we have appam in every place. You know, appam, the kue, like in Sumatra, we call it, apa Ade kemarin, bika.
Bika.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's like a crumpet.
And then
Yeah.
exactly, crumpet in Australia.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? This is what we call it, is the cultural connection in between one island to the other island until another country. So appam is also we can find in India.
Yeah.
So can you imagine when we bring our mission to the food diplomacy, we're gonna talk about kue appam dan kue putu in India, because they also have kue appam and kue putu. It's easier to melt it and then having the good conversation rather than we bring, this is my rendang, that's your rendang. No, this is my rendang. You know what I mean? So this kind of diplomacy that we have to talking about something in common first to as icebreaker.
So then, I mean, do you think it is important to first, a part of that gastrodiplomacy thing, a part of telling the world is also recording it yourselves, doing the research yourselves, having your own sort of database of information? Is that important, do you think, for the progress of the gastro thing?
Yes, it's important. So that's why since I'm working with the Ministry of Education, I mean, we got together in the Jalur Rempah or the Spice Road Committee. So we already think about that. So even the Director General, Mr. Hilmar Farid, is already initiate to have the kind of like digital asset management as a platform for everything related to the culture. So, and I believe with this database and the good kind of like big data for the culinary, it's easy for us also as the people who work in the culinary industry to bring to the real action.
Yeah, for sure. Ade, as a culinary storyteller, and with a really active Instagram account, do you feel there's a national movement with young people to really, pay homage or to honor their traditional food? And, do you think young people are more interested now in the really authentic local food?
Okay. So maybe this is my bad. I tend to generalize that young people only want to follow whatever their idols are doing. So what I try to do is actually introducing the local foods to their idols, to all the influencers.
Yes.
Because when these famous people, their idols, like eating something like very traditional, and then when they throw the sparks of, oh, you know what, this kelpon is so good. I had it from somewhere. I mean, like people, the young people will like follow. Okay, where do they get them? I want to try it as well, because they always look up to those people. That's why I like also to, whenever I introduce the foods from wherever I just been to, like the last time I just went to Pulau K in Maluku. And then I invited the chefs of those famous restaurants here. Why? Because I want them to feature all these ingredients and the stories through their restaurants. Because the young people go to their restaurants. So I wish this way is easier to spread out the words. I mean, like we need these influencers to
Yes.
be like the speakers to tell stories, because we cannot do it ourselves. We have to work together with them as well.
But I guess that makes sense, that they are influencers and they do influence the public. Yeah, but it does seem like
Yes,
I don't know.
Janet,
Yeah.
actually okay, actually there is a research as well regarding to these millennials. When I work with the previous team, you know what, the good thing, actually the millennials like to try anything, to explore the culture in every single destination that they come. So that's the opportunity for us also to introduce. Yeah,
betul. So
can you hear me?
Yep, can. I'm just thinking about millennials and the sort of things that they enjoy, as you're saying, with influencers and things like that. I guess too, it is important to work with the chefs to also, as you say, feature the food in their menus, and maybe it's as much about bringing that food into Indonesia's restaurants as it is about bringing it overseas. Perhaps that's part of it. What about other ways, like food films or those sorts of things? I mean, there's nothing like a film or like Netflix. I mean, look at the success of was it The Chef's Table, and look what it did for Will Goldfarb. I mean, is that something that the government's thinking about? I mean, that would be a killer, wouldn't it? Just to do some of these shows.
Yes. Actually, in the Director General of the Culture in the Ministry of Education and Culture, there is one director now really look after about the film, music, and the new media like Netflix, like now Disney, and everything related to the new media, which is all in the gadget, So. Yes, they work with the Netflix as well to promote all the culture, including the food. So 2 or 3 days ago, I have a meeting with the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, which is the deputy who really handling this film for the promoting. So I think we just wait, because they already put in the plan. And food, we're talking about the food, it's only like 10 minutes show, but so many episodes. It's really like make us addicted to see what There is a good the good show as well. The Tokyo, I think, dinner or midnight dinner in the Tokyo.
Midnight dinner.
Yes. So I think this is a good example for the story is there, but they also infuse with so many what do you call it? Scene that's showing the food and how the chef making the food, and Dek?
Yeah,
Adek knows
it's a really good one.
What's it called? I don't know that one. I don't watch enough TV.
That one is Midnight Diner. So it's like a small place in a downtown of Tokyo, I think. So it's not actually about the it's not actually about the food. It's about like the life of the chef that only open on midnight. So everyone's coming in, just a random guest or some ladies having like after drinking together, and then just want to have something. But then the storyline is how the chef is like looking at them and then making the supper for them. It's super interesting.
Personalized. It's more personalized, and he knows better that this customer is like the corn dog, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of thing, and then the other one is like the omelette rice. You know what? So I mean the exploration. So, and then the title, Janet, is really good because they putting the name of the food,
Yes.
The title in every episode,
the favorite food. Yeah,
their favorite food. It's really good. So this is something like we're talking about the benchmarking. Janet. If we want to do something, then seeing something good, then how we can really implement to ours by creating the new and then the original style of Indonesia. Yeah.
Well, that's true, because it's a whole different, the whole social media. And what about, what's his name? Uncle, I think he's Malaysian, yeah? We need an Indonesian one.
Uncle Roger?
Uncle one.
The nasi
Is it
goreng
Roger?
one?
Yeah,
Roger.
Uncle Roger,
yeah. We need someone like that in Indonesia, yeah, because that's pretty hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the odading. Did you know that the odading, in the West Java, which is actually we're not talking about the food, but we're talking about the power of social media. Well, you know deh.
Siapa namanya?
Namanya apa, Dek? Siapa? Nama makanannya odading ya, Dek?
The name of the food is odading. It's actually we call it baling-baling, right? Bolang-baling.
Baling-baling itu kayak kue bantal gitu, Janet. It's like kue di Singapura juga ada gitu ya. It's like cakwe tapi dia yang manisnya gitu.
The sweeter
one.
It's
so popular. I don't really get it and become like antri orang banyak ya, Dek. Lagi COVID begini lagi.
Yeah, that must be the power of social media, yeah.
The social media, yeah. Ya, nggak tahu Andi udah coba belum, Dek?
No, I haven't.
Aku juga belum.
It's not here, right? It's in Bandung.
In Bandung, yeah, in Bandung.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But like in Jakarta, you have a lot of places that open at midnight too, yeah, or very late, or was it the nasi kambing, what you call it? I mean,
kambing.
Yeah,
Kebon Siri.
Yeah.
Well, Jakarta is a 24-hour city. Everywhere is 24 hours. We have the warung warmo in Tebet. It's like a warteg that opens 24 hours, and all the celebrities, even all the people with Mercedes-Benz, they all eat in warmo.
So what is the attraction of the warung, though? I mean, really, I think, well, I don't know about the young ones again, but I do think warungs are the cornerstone of good Indonesian food, don't you think?
Well,
I think because when we see the trend of the Indonesian restaurant also in overseas, like Wayan, like Jawa, they are really not the fine dining restaurant. They are really like selling only, for example, the famous one is the perkedel jagung, right? So I think the trend is now go back to that. The place to eat have to be fun, but the food has to be good, you know, rather than they become
betul.
It should be comfort food.
Yeah, I agree.
Food,
comfort food. Yeah, that's the best. Okay, well, thank you both, Ibu Vita and Ade, for a fantastic talk about gastrodiplomacy and just about Indonesian food. And I really do hope over the next year or so we can really tell the world how fantastic the food is in Indonesia, because it really is extraordinary. So thank you so much. I've loved the session, I look forward to some more writing, Ade, about the culinary journeys and some more cookbooks, etc. So thank you both for today. It's been fantastic. Terima kasih.
Thank you.